My name is Elena, and becoming a stepmother at 34 was harder than anyone warned me it would be. When I married David, I knew his 16-year-old son, Tyler, came with him. What I didn't know was how impossible it would feel trying to exist in a house where every memory belonged to someone else. We lived in Seattle, Washington, in a quiet neighborhood where rain tapped softly against the windows almost every evening. David worked long shifts as a paramedic, and I worked remotely as a book editor. Tyler barely spoke to me during the first year. Not because he was rude. Because he was loyal to his mother. She and David had divorced years earlier, but Tyler never forgave his father for remarrying. And by extension, he never forgave me. Still, I tried. I drove him to basketball practice. I remembered how he liked his burgers. I attended school events even when he ignored me the entire ride home. And slowly, things began to soften. Not into love, but into something calmer. One Friday night, David got called into an overnight emergency shift just hours before Tyler's favorite movie premiere. "You should still go," David told him. Tyler shrugged. "Whatever." Then David looked at me. "Could you take him?" The silence afterward felt heavier than it should have. Finally Tyler muttered, "Fine." That should have been an ordinary night. A movie. Popcorn. Two people trying awkwardly to coexist. Instead, it became the night everything in our family changed. The theater was crowded and loud. For the first hour, things actually felt normal. Tyler laughed during the previews. We shared popcorn. He even joked with me once or twice. For the first time in months, I thought maybe we were finally becoming family. Then someone took a photo. I didn't notice it at the time. But Tyler's classmate did. The next morning, everything exploded. Someone had posted the picture online with a disgusting caption suggesting something inappropriate between us. By Monday, rumors had spread across school. Tyler stopped speaking entirely. David was furious, not at me, but at the situation. Still, tension filled the house like smoke. Then came the messages. Anonymous accounts. Comments. Whispers. Someone even emailed David directly. That's when fear entered our home. Not because the rumors were true. Because lies, once spread, become impossible to control. And Tyler began acting strangely. He stayed locked in his room. Deleted messages constantly. Avoided eye contact. One night, I overheard him arguing quietly on the phone. "You promised you wouldn't post it." My stomach dropped. Suddenly, I realized something worse might be happening. Someone wasn't just spreading rumors. Someone was manipulating him. 3 days later, Tyler disappeared after school. No texts. No calls. Nothing. David drove through the city looking for him while I stayed home praying my phone would ring. At nearly midnight, the police called. They found him sitting alone outside an abandoned arcade downtown. When David brought him home, Tyler looked shattered. And finally, the truth came out. A girl from school had secretly taken the photo at the theater. Her older boyfriend turned it into a cruel joke online for attention. But things spiraled further than they expected. When Tyler begged them to stop, they threatened him. Told him they'd create worse fake stories if he told anyone. For weeks, he carried that fear alone. Not because he hated me. Because he blamed himself. "I shouldn't have gone," he whispered that night. The pain in his voice broke something inside me. "You didn't do anything wrong," I told him. But shame is powerful. Especially in someone young enough to believe one mistake can destroy their entire life. The investigation eventually forced the fake accounts offline. The rumors faded. But healing took longer. Much longer. Tyler started therapy that winter. David and I attended family sessions with him sometimes. Slowly, the walls between us changed. Not overnight. Not dramatically. But enough. One snowy evening months later, Tyler knocked quietly on my office door. "I made something," he said awkwardly. He handed me a small framed movie ticket. The one from that night. At the bottom he'd written, "Thanks for showing up even when I made it hard." I cried after he left the room. Not because everything was fixed, but because sometimes healing doesn't arrive loudly. Sometimes it arrives quietly, in small moments where people finally stop seeing each other as enemies. That night at the movies did go too far. Not because of scandal. Not because of betrayal. But because one cruel lie nearly destroyed a family that was still learning how to trust each other. And in the end, we learned something painful but important. Families don't break because of rumors. And sometimes, surviving together is the closest thing to love there is.